Guys, so I just kind of wanted to touch base, um, and I realized that, I've talked about church, I've talked about, like, lessons in it, but I haven't really talked about where I'm at with my faith right now, and not really wanting to talk about what I, am feeling and believing right now, but more of like my journey in my community and like the the structure of like my growth in my faith. So like as you guys know, if you've been watching these, if anyone's watching this, I have joined a church and it was a complete God thing, putting me there with my family, with my best friend, and um, I spoke with one of the pastors who actually moved they closed down the Deer Creek location of our church and moved it. They joined back at the OKC location. And what's like so cool is that the head pastor there has come back. His name's Pastor Sampson, great guy, and kind of reached out to me and said, hey, I want you to come and have dinner with me and my wife, our son, adorable baby son, and so a couple other families. And so I went to dinner and honestly didn't know what I was walking into. And it ended up being like, I felt like a little kid with like these married couples. It was like three couples, another lady, and me. And I could have been most of their children. Not Samson and not another couple, but the other two. And anyways, so we got played games, we talked, it was really cool. But I ended up sharing that, sorry I'm like moving around a lot, but I ended up sharing that something I'm really lacking in everything, not just like in my faith, but like in my recovery and in everything, is a community. And I have my family, I have my best friends, but I don't have like a pool of people to meet new people in. Like, I'm not in a college, like living dorms, going to classes, so I'm not meeting those people. And then, like, my friends are in high school, but it's kind of like that weird range of like, yeah, it's not weird for us to be friends, but like for me to only be hanging out with like high schoolers is a little, And I shared that. And at the end of it, one of the single ladies came up to me and she was like, that's actually like what my passion is. My passion are high schoolers and college girls, or college kids and high school kids. And I actually host a youth kind of group hangout thing on Tuesday nights. And she's divorced and has a son who is 15 and a daughter who's 18. And the whole family are like angels. And I ended up going. It was like the next day. Ended up being amazing. She lives kind of farther out, closer to like Arcadia. And it ended up being that night was a worship. So they do like community where you just hang out for a while, then you worship, then you do someone speaks, you worship a little more, and then you hang out. And that night, that's like at like starts at like 8:30 and ends at like 10:30, but really it's go home whenever you want. And then that night at midnight they had a college kids only worship under the stars, and they live on some land, and it's kind of far enough out where you can see the stars magnificently. It's insane. And they turn off all the lights, and you're just sitting there and you're like, wow. And the coolest thing is when they worship, they actually say like, you guys know what to do, and you literally just spread out across the yard. You're not like by people, and you do your own thing. And I've never seen so many people so strong in their worship and in their faith that are our age and just like rocking out. Like, I'm full, like, I'll admit it, I'm full hands up. I get on my knees sometimes. And it's just so cool to just like be in that moment alone and but together. And what's also really awesome is each week they have someone speak, and it's the students going that speak. So it's not anyone superior or better. Um, they're just like your peers. And I'm wanting to speak soon, but it'll probably have to be next summer if they do anything in the fall. And honestly, what's been so cool is that first week of me going, I just like back to back to back just continued to grow closer with those people and have built so many relationships from it. And honestly, they're my people. Like, I have my best friend who hasn't been able to come yet. I brought one of my other best friend's sisters, and she wants to keep going, and it's been one of the most amazing experiences. It's just been so cool to have that group of people that not only I can enjoy time with and goof around and be fun and be immature or be really mature, have serious conversations, have dumb, pointless conversations, stay up till 4:30 riding limes, those scooters downtown, but like also people that can push me and challenge me in my faith. And I'm going to be honest, like, they called me on crap that I did or have done, and they will call you. Like, they care that much about you that they're not going to just gossip about you. They're not going to go around, like, they are going to, like, nip it in the bud. And they, like, that's how much they care and love you. And I'm always, like, posting things about it. And I'm like, guys, come, because this, like, if I don't, like, honestly, I don't know what I would do without these people now. I think I'm over there or with those people at least 4 days a week. And it's just incredible. And tonight, even, I went with a couple of them to a pop-up worship night at someone's house from our church, and honestly just worshiped and got prayed over and shared. And it was one of the most, like, raw and amazing experiences, and no one, like, put me there. It wasn't something for me. Like, I love mission trips. I've been on 4. I want to keep going. But it wasn't something I did because it made me feel better. It wasn't something I did because I knew it would be a social situation. I just felt called to go. I went. It wasn't very many people, like 7 people plus the, like, 4 people or 3 people doing the music. And, like, it's not a good deed I'm doing. It's not something I'm doing to make me feel better, to make up for a sin, to do any of that. Like, it was purely, like, living in that life. And something so cool is I've been writing notes a lot lately. Just in my church services, I write them in my notebook or in my Bible. It's called Tuesdays at Trinaries. On Tuesdays, I write my notes on when I hear something in a song and I just feel it. When I'm reading the book, the second book, After Love Does. It just, when things, like, I just write them down, and I normally have my phone with me, so I can always write it in there. And it's just been so cool. Like, honestly, don't know how many I have written, but I was going to share a little bit of tonight's and just of things that have inspired me or triggered me, or I don't know, just something that stood out. And aside from Trinaries, which has changed my life, and I talk about it every day, and I'm sure people are really annoyed by it. I've also felt so, like, loved and appreciated and cared for at North Church. No church is perfect. There's you're never gonna find something where, like, every single thing you agree with, every single thing you love. And yeah, I could point out one thing right now that I don't agree with at North, but, like, that's not why I'm going. I'm going to find community. I'm not going to be somewhere I know is perfect, because the only thing that is perfect is God in heaven, and that's just, like, unattainable. But and it's built on a church is built on, as much as you don't want to say it is, it's built on the founders' beliefs and foundations. So if you aren't completely aligned, like, you're never going to be completely aligned with someone. Anyways, like, when Samson brought me in and took me to that dinner and even told me of a story in the Bible of a man, believe he was a disciple, that genuinely just, like, wanted to know God and was completely on that path. And he was like, honestly, I saw you and I thought that of you. And I've never had someone say something like that to me. Like, I've had people come to me for advice and whatnot, but I've never had someone say, like, you purely look like you just want to know Jesus. And that, I mean, I'm definitely selfish. We all are. And in this path, like, I'm definitely selfish, but, like, I do feel now more than ever that I do want to know Jesus in that. And then I met Christian, he's the youth pastor, and he brought me in, And now I'm a youth leader on Wednesday nights. And crazy thing, my dad's brother's son, my cousin, is also. And I'm trying to set him up with one of the best people I know. He's awesome. He's like an amazing person. But I'm trying to set him up with one of the girls who goes to Tuesdays and goes to North and is a youth leader at North. Just honestly, like, they're both amazing. They both know about this. Everyone, I like talk about it a lot. It's probably annoying, but yeah, anyways, it's just like so cool to be with my family in a church place, like completely there on my own. No one takes me. I go on my own. And honestly, the week I didn't go and I slept, I felt terrible the whole week about it. But it's just like, I do feel like these are people that do love me, that aren't doing their duty of like talking to people and reaching out. Like, they do love me and care about me, and like they want to know more about me. They want to pray for me. They want me to be there. And I like feel like I'm a part of something that I would never have imagined I could be a part of. And I didn't feel pressured into being a part of it. It just happened. And now that I like look back at it, I am in love with the situation I'm in. I love the people I'm around. I genuinely would not trade this experience and what everything has brought me to for the world. Like, it's just been amazing. But I wanted to share a little bit just of some things and keynotes that I've realized or someone's told me or got from a song, and they're probably not going to tie together at all, so I'm just going to throw them out there. Well, a few of these are just from church and some songs, but there's a song that says, like, be undone by who you are, and honestly, like, thinking about that, like, my allergies are getting really bad, so I apologize. Just thinking about, like, being undone by who you are is like the person that we built ourselves up to be, the person we like put our walls and our barriers and made up this like fictional version of ourselves. That is what's being undone. Like, God is having his way in us, and that's what we are praying for. Like, God, have me be undone by who you are and have your way in me now. Like, my heart wants more of you, and my heart wants something new. And something I've really been struggling with is just like feeling lonely and being in life alone and being scared that I will not be married, or like, that's honestly my one goal in my life is I want to have a loving, wholesome relationship. And just like, I've been struggling with like, why, God, am I like always have this need, like always thinking about, oh, that's a good, like, that person looks really nice, wonder if they're single. Like, why is that always in my head? Like, I don't want that to be my focus right now. And just this line, my heart wants more of you, my heart wants something new, is like, yes, my heart wants something new, but why am I making that out to be a person or a man? Like, why not saying that in like a relationship way, but like friendship, like in that kind of way? Like, my heart wants something more, it wants something new, and that I want more of God in there. And we spoke about something on to the next note. We spoke about a lesson that's like, what am I doing here? But like, if you really think about it, your decisions put you there, put you where you are. So why are you there? Is you put yourself there. And what's the reason behind that? And what are you going to do with that? And what are you going to do with God with that? And then in church, we talked a lot about tranquility, which is the peace of God. That's different than coping. Coping is blocking things out. And I've dealt with a lot of having to find coping mechanisms, because with depression and with things like that, you do sometimes have to sacrifice and like compromise for coping, because you have so much you have to deal with. But when you get to that ability, like, coping is simply like bearing it and hiding it with something, like painting over it. It's still there. But tranquility is finding the peace of God and actually dealing with what's going on. We talked about, in our church service, I went on Thursday, so I went yesterday. We talked about decompression in music, or like uncompressed and compressed music. And I was in awe. Like, please look it up. I don't really know how to explain it because I don't know anything about music. But it's just talking about life as we compress our highs and our lows and everything into this little neat and tidy box. But that like whole experience of life, that whole ups and downs and highs and lows and the amazing parts of life, we don't get to experience when it's like this. And cutting out those lows cuts out those highs too. And I was just talking about decompression, and sometimes you just need to go find that tranquility. You don't need to like sit and read the Bible in that situation. Maybe you just need to go stare at the sky and find tranquility and decompress. Tonight we talked about a little about peace, and I just honestly felt they prayed over me, and I just felt like no matter where I'm at in my life, like what I'm fighting, I'm going to win because I have God, and God wins in everything. And so no matter what battle we're in, we have God and we have that stability in that rock. And like, however, like we want our faith to be an authentic way of life, not just a system, not, we want it to be a whole new entire way of life. And it's not a moment, or it's not like a little act we do or a good deed. Like we want to be living a life of authority, a life of worship, an entire life of worship. It's not just a Sunday, Wednesday thing, or like it's not just praying at night. It's living a life reflecting and like radiating God. And it's never too late to change your life. No matter what decisions you've made, no matter what mistakes you've made, like no matter what happens. Sorry, someone just FaceTimed me. I had to hang up. No matter what happens, Jesus says that no matter what you've done, he is steadfast with us, and we can always turn back and turn to him. I loved what one of the guys said, and said currently we're stepping away from the church and we're changing into church. Like it's not an institution. It's not a building or a way of it's a way of life, a community, a fellowship. One of a youth pastor who spoke at Tuesdays said that yes, our faith is a personal relationship with God, but if that was it, like what are we supposed to do with that? That's not it. Once we have that, we turn that into a fellowship and a community because we're building blocks in God's building of life. His plan is so much bigger than we could ever imagine. And the last thing I wanted to say is that God has moved mountains and has made changes when there was no way to make a move or to change. And I read something, I believe it was in here in Everybody Always, that God stays with us in every moment. Like he's okay with us straying, but like, cause he knows we'll come back, but he doesn't just let us stray. He goes with us. And when you have God in your life, he becomes a part of you, even when you stray away. And he doesn't stop being a part of you. When I spoke tonight and I said, I was in the hospital, I gave up on my faith, and for some reason, in one situation I was in, I asked someone if I could pray over them. When I had given up on the concept of God, of Jesus, of anything. And I fell back on that because honestly, I believe once you have known God, he stays a part of you and he doesn't leave. And no matter what happens, you decide, nope, don't believe it. Like you still have that in you and you still have those questions and those thoughts and you'll fall back on it. But God never leaves you when you stray. God never leaves you. And honestly, these kind of realizations like fully come from finding that relationship with God and with his people. Like it's so much easier to grow in your faith when you're with people who are also wanting to grow. So I encourage you to go out and find people. Like I promise you, the first people you find may not be the people you want. Like just keep looking and please reach out to me. I would love for anyone to come to Tuesdays. So yeah. Have a great evening and a great weekend and much love. Bye.